Hey everyone, it's Unoshek here, and welcome to our Forge video series. We're going to be breaking down Forge with some of the members of the Forge team here at 343 Industries. Michael, Cliff, thanks for joining us. You want to introduce yourselves, talk about what you do here at 343?
Sure. I'm Michael Shore. I'm the lead Forge designer. I've been here for 4 years, and I'm the vision holder for Forge and kind of have my hands in a little bit of everything Forge, just trying to make sure it lands.
Yeah, very cool. And Cliff?
I'm Cliff Schultz. I'm one of the multiplayer level designers. I originally came from the Forge community, so this is a very special moment for me.
For people who don't know, what is Forge?
Forge is a game engine that ships in the Halo Infinite free-to-play product. It'll come out this November. And it's a mode where you can design maps, you can design new modes, or just new experiences that you wanna play with your friends. It's super powerful little game engine.
And what makes Infinite's version so special?
Well, we've fixed a lot of things. We've improved existing things based on community feedback. We've added a lot of new features that we wanted and the community wanted. So it's a really nice package now.
That's good to hear. But we don't just want to talk about it. We do want to show it. And Cliff, I know you've been working on something incredible over there. You want to kind of walk us through what you decided to build?
Yeah, totally. What we have here is the starting for Foundation and Campaign, but we recreated it in Forge. My goal for this was to make an experience that's similar to what we see in Campaign and to show off the power of what Forge can be able to achieve in this. Prior in Halo 5, we could only dream to do something like this. So to be able to have this now and to be able to create these very rich environments is a huge blessing for anyone that's forging.
Yeah, so right now, how'd you go about building this? You said earlier when we were talking, before we started recording, that we used a lot of campaign assets.
Yeah, so the cool thing about, part of that wish list is built to have more campaign assets. So the Forge team whipped a bunch of campaign assets and included it. So I rearranged all those campaign assets to be able to make the Foundation starting point.
You want to take us through there?
Totally.
Show us a little bit more of what you've been making and building. And this is all in Forge.
It's all in Forge. Yeah, the art team did a great job of bringing over these campaign assets and multiplayer assets into Forge to give us a wide range of objects that players can make stuff with.
It looks so good.
It's super sexy.
So what kind of tools helped you build this and put this creation together, Cliff?
Yeah, totally. Well, we have a bunch of different tools. The one that I used for this quite a bit was magnets. It was really great to be able to snap the hexes together to be able to get on their right grid. Mm-hmm. The other one, too, we have duplication. So since this is a lot of repeating objects, duplicating, instead of having to go and spawn in a new object, I'm able to just duplicate what I currently have and kind of rearrange the objects.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you mind showing an example?
Yeah, totally. So if I want to duplicate this hex right here, I can just simply duplicate it, and then I'm going to snap the magnet to it, and boom.
That's real nice. And if you didn't like that addition, we also have undo redo for the first time.
So if I fat finger something or whatever, I can be able to just click undo, and it'll go back to the steps. Or if I want to put it back, I can hit redo.
And that's a first, and that's
a first. That was a huge community wish list. When I first started here, it was top of my quality of life update stuff.
It was like number one.
Anything that you use using a computer has an undo, right? So it makes perfect sense.
We also have snap to the ground.
Yeah. So if I have, we'll just take one of these. I'm going to duplicate it, and if I want to put in the middle here, instead of having to go and fidget around, I can just tap the X button, and it will automatically snap to the ground for the object, which has been a huge blessing for spawning any objects in to get an understanding for the reference of their size.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even think about that for like spawn points too. When you're just building
Spawns
out
are
your
huge,
map, you
yes.
just always want to place it on the ground anyways. We've got another cool feature I'd love to talk about, which is scaling.
Yeah. So I'm going to fly out of the world here. Mm-hmm. I have some objects that I utilized for for making this space. So any of this stuff I can be able to grab, and then I can be able to scale it down, scale it upwards, or I can also scale it by per plane. So if you see here, I've grabbed this object and I have flattened it because I'm really liking the texture or the material that we have on here for this face.
Mm-hmm.
So for example,
So you can scale in any direction
correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
on almost any object,
Yep.
on most objects.
So
Really nice.
I wanted this detail for the front of the hexes to replicate what we had in campaign. So the trick that I used here is I grabbed one of these pieces and then flattened it because I was really in love with how detailed the front of this wall is, or this pillar.
Yeah, yeah. So you could use it as a decal, like art,
Yeah.
to art up the wall. Up next, or actually part of scaling, I know you had a few other things you wanted to show off with the terrain and a certain grunty friend.
Yeah, while I'm flying over there, that we have not talked about is we can be able to move through objects now. That's something that we take for granted now.
With your monitor? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
so it's been really great. So if we make it an enclosed environment like that, we don't have to fly all the way around. We're able to fly through objects. Has been a huge blessing.
Yeah, no clip has been that's another one of those quality of life updates that we had to add.
So so when I was doing this, one of my friends jumped into the game and was messing around with the grunt, and he made Giga Grunt here. So this is this is the normal size of the grunt. And then he decided to scale it up and was messing around with me, which is pretty comical.
Yeah, and we actually showcase naming of objects when you highlight over the
Yep.
big one. So now you can custom name objects throughout your entire Forge build.
Yeah,
Right.
It's been really great for like if I have any like custom assets, and if I need to go search for it, I can be able to name it uniquely now instead of having to be like Grunt 5000 and going through a number list.
Yeah, yeah. You can spot the one that you know is Gigagrunt. Yeah.
It's also helpful, like we'll talk about this a little later, but the budget in Forge has been increased exponentially. And when you have a lot of objects, when you can name them what you want, they're easier to find, they're easier to organize. So that's another bonus there.
Yeah, just because you got more stuff to manage.
Yeah, yeah.
Better organization always
Yeah.
helps. And then also terrain we wanted to take a look at. I know you were building something.
Yeah, so part of the scaling, we do have these awesome terrain pieces. There's a lot of great additions that terrain that the art team has added for terrain. Specifically, we could be able to make mountains now. So this is the object size what it spawns in, and we can even make it smaller. And so I made like this.
So that's the same piece?
That is the same piece, yeah.
It could be a hill or it could be a giant mountain.
Yep, and I can even make it smaller to be like I want to add like dirt around like a cement area, like rubble, like to a fallen apart building, whatever I want to do with that. So that's another. You don't have to always upscale everything. You can be able to make small set dressings in a level, which is like.
Which canvas is this?
This is
Is it
the
blank?
this is the blank
Okay.
canvas.
Do you mind showing the actual scaling up to that mountain size?
Yeah, totally.
Super cool looking. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so it's that same piece, and that counts as one object in
Correct.
your object count.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of flexibility there.
Super useful. Yeah, super useful, especially for those bigger maps. Up next, I know we wanted to take a look at arting a map.
Yeah.
And I know we have some awesome work from the art team with materials.
Yeah, so it's really cool because like in Halo 5, like we had pre-designated objects, and they can sometimes be limiting. Now the cool thing about this is we have a bunch of different material swaps. So in this example here, this is part of our design set that we have, and I've just grabbed the block, duplicated it, and go and material swapped it. Obviously we have like all the Forerunner materials that you see, but the cool thing about this is I wanted to add some grime to it, or scratches, or I want to make it not so shiny. So I can be able to change material, and then I can also change material and change the color material. But we also have a bunch of unique material that is not just in Halo lore, like so Forerunner. So we have like dirt, we have corrugated metal, we have cobblestone, camo. We have some silly ones like polka dots and stripes.
Like a gift wrapping.
Totally. So
yeah.
if you want to do a present for your friend's birthday, we got you covered.
Yeah. And then, yeah, even more like stone and brick, which is super cool. And then we can apply that on most objects too, right?
Yeah. So here we changed the grunt. Like I think someone selected like looks like the metaling, like
It's like
the
a corrugated metal on top of a shack or something.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Look, the stuff you see like in Bazaar, we pulled from there. And so they changed it along. They changed it with the color of it, because normally I think these spawn in like just a default purple that the grunt has.
Could you walk us through a few of
Totally.
those options? Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a couple different things. So yeah, metal corrugated. So if I want to go through and change the material, I can do that, or we can go through the list as well too. Same thing with the color. We can select whatever color that we want to do, and kind of update it. Now there's also different regions that we want. So if I want to change the grunt body, we can do that as well.
And you have all those options for pretty much all those objects.
Totally.
All the time.
Yep.
That's so cool. Including a Giga Grunt.
Yes, including the Giga Grunt.
I wanted to dive in. We did see the Forge menu just now as you were kind of going through those color options. We've got the object browser and lots of other cool stuff, and it's all organized in a little bit of a new fashion from Halo 5.
Yeah, a little bit. One of the key things that we added to the object browser this time around was the ability to preview the object before you place it. So now you can see the size of an object, you can see the colors it has. Previously in Halo 5, it was just a green box, right? And so this to us is a big improvement there. All of these objects are, because of scaling, all these objects are, we don't need to have different size variants. So while we have thousands of objects in the browser, we don't need to bloat the browser with size variants of each one.
Yeah. Is that a red party cup there?
Yep.
For the grunt?
Yeah.
Scale it up to the Giga Grunt size.
The Giga Grunt needs a drink. Thirsty.
In addition to the Forge menu, we also have some radial menus for the actions and tools, correct?
We do, yes.
Yeah, so with some of these new features, we had to figure out where they were going to fit in a control scheme, and the logical solution to that was to have radial prefabs. Obviously, we don't have a lot of objects or a lot of options on that radial menu right now, but it's designed to expand as we expand our Forge functionality in the future.
Nice. And Cliff, we just saw you make a prefab. For folks who don't know, what is a prefab?
Yeah, so a prefab, for example, on my map, I have a prefab already set up, which was really useful setting up all that detailed layering because how the hexes are built. So I saved that. But the cool thing, too, is if you want to share them, you can build to bookmark prefabs. So I have one of the forgers, Max Extra, has made like this really awesome hollow table. And so I asked you if I could prefab it, and
it's really good.
Yeah, really, really clever. So he used effects and I think a satellite dish, and there was another object for the base of it. But yeah, so that's been really useful. So if you make something unique that we don't offer in our objects, let's say if I made this race car, I can be able to prefab that, and then I can be able to save it for future maps. So if I want to make another city map or give it to someone that might need to use it for their map, that is now a great feature that we have.
So it's a group cluster of objects that you can then save as that group and then share with your friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can save it locally to your map, or you can save it to your files to use it in other maps, and or to share it with your friends.
Real nice.
Or share it with the public.
Yeah. So you make an awesome gingerbread house that I want to use on my map.
That's right.
I can just copy it if you make it a prefab. Very cool. We also on the radial menus have a little bit of, what else do we have on there? Yeah.
We've got a node graph. We've got the build menu, and we've got quick save.
Nice. And the build menu, don't want to dive too deep in on that, but you can now kind of customize what aspect of the Forge map you want to build.
Right. So we've inherited a lot of features from the Slip Space engine, which was the foundation of Halo Infinite. And so the way lighting and audio and nav mesh and reflection volumes work is you have to build that data. And so where you go to build that data is the build menu. We'll explore that at a later date, won't we?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
And we did have node graph I saw you had popped up there. We've got that coming up in our next video where we talk about scripting. And we did mention just the fact that we've got so many inputs. That's why we decided to go radial menus. We have multiple control schemes for controller, correct?
Yeah, I think we have 4 different control schemes. We've got a default one. We've got a default alt, I believe, that switches the up and down buttons because that was some concern to some people. Then we've got a legacy one that kind of is as close as we could get to the Halo 5 control scheme as we could. And there's one more, and I forget which one it is.
But plenty of options, so players can find one that feels best for them as they're making maps.
Absolutely.
All right, so now I want to take some time and dive in on a Forge Council members map right here. It's called Curfew, and it was arted by Sica Mechanico, and he took this and made it stunning, right?
Yeah. Well, this is, literally dripping with vibe here. This is just gorgeous. I can't believe he whipped this out in a pretty short time, as I understand it.
All Forge.
Oh, this is all Forge.
Yeah.
100% Forge. Just really gorgeous. I love this kind of, like I said, just the fog, like the kind of cyberpunk vibe.
All the extra detail.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we wanted to break down this map and kind of reverse engineer it, we actually have a really cool tool right there. You can see on the bottom center of the screen, the object detail panel.
Yeah, so basically wherever you hover your cursor, the object details panel just gives you data about that object, right? So we're looking at this wreckage hole box A, and you can tell that it's a static object versus dynamic. You can set that the physics has been set to phased, and then you can see where it's located, how it's been rotated from its default, and what the size values are. So at a glance, you can just go.
You want to fly around and show off like how many different objects Sica Mechanico used here? Yeah. Just tons of detail, tons of different objects.
Yeah, he's at like 65% of the budget.
Something like this, to achieve this quality of level, I think every forger that gets to this, they cry because it gets to a point where they drop their frames and they have to start dissecting their map and reducing it, and we always cried over that. So
but that's not the case.
This is not the case anymore. Like this is amazing. Like he's only at 65, and this is very rich environment.
Yeah.
And Cliff, you wanted to show off one aspect that you thought was really cool.
Yeah. So the thing about Forge, like anyone's asked us in the past, was like, how do you make a good Forge map? To like take it to the next level. Don't use objects as they are intended, and use them in a unique, interesting way. So like, something that we had a hard time is to do small set dressing in Halo 5. Now the cool thing that I saw Sica Mechanico do is he has a flaming barrel and he has like, this looks like trash. But what it really is he's made this terrain piece and shrunken it down to make that trash, which we didn't have this type of stuff in Halo 5. So to make this scene more believable, he's made objects and manipulated them into something different that they're not intended, which I think is really awesome.
And that's one of those terrain pieces that we saw that could become its own mountain and hill, but he squished it down into a trash can.
So when I was looking at like the flame, because I was like, oh, like how did he get grass in there? Like, holy cow! I'm like, wait a minute, this is a terrain piece. Like, wait, what?
Really clever, really clever. And we were mentioning that he is still only at 65% of his budget. Right, we've had some budget improvements, and we've expanded the total budget, right?
Yeah.
Total object count and stuff like that.
Yeah, Halo 5 was 1,600 objects, the most you could put in. Right now, with this version of Forge, we're at around 7,000 objects that you can place.
Wow.
So yeah, huge improvement there. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just so massive.
Yeah, you're helping untap some new potential for sure.
For sure.
And one benefit of how we now like render objects is when they're static, they don't have quite the same like performance impact that they used to in Halo 5.
Yeah, now that we have, we have static objects and dynamic objects. For reference, every object in Halo 5 was a dynamic object, which meant that the engine was thinking about that object every frame, right? Which is why we had a relatively low budget. Now with static objects, they're basically just geometry that the player and grenades and stuff collides with, and so like the engine doesn't have to think about static objects every frame, right? So it gives us the chance to put a lot more of those objects in the scene because the engine is not overburdened in that regard.
That is fantastic
Yeah.
to hear. But I think that's going to do it overall for us today, taking our first look at Forge in Halo Infinite. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, guys.
Absolutely.
Did you have any closing words as we kind of wrap up?
I'm just super excited to see what the community does with this. I've already seen a bunch of cool stuff, official and unofficial. And it's just fantastic. So I can't wait for this to be out in the public and see what everyone does.
Me coming from the community and coming internal and shipping the game, I traded like the surprise of the game being revealed your first day or whatever, right? The thing for me, my first day reveal is when forgers get these maps and make something new. Something that I did not have my hands on and get to experience something brand new. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, there's no more surprises.
No,
for
there's
you.
no more surprises
Now you
anymore.
can be
Like,
surprised by what people build.
yeah, I was like, oh, I'm
yeah.
gonna I don't want to know the end of the campaign. Yeah, forget about that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. And everyone else, thank you for watching. And we will have even more Forge videos coming out over the coming weeks. We're going to focus on scripting next, then lighting, and then we'll touch on file management or asset management and file browsing and all that cool stuff. But that'll do it for us today. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all next time.